All righty. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into Dragon's Den. My name is Digital Dragon, aka Luke, and yes, I am a grumpy old vet. Welcome on in. Nick, the drop game should work for you now. It won't work on the first screen, the starting screen. Hey, Da Vinci, how's it going? How's it going? Hope everybody's doing well. Yep, thank you. Thank you. I have a sweatshirt like this as well that I've been wearing, and I had to go ahead and order the shirt. And also, on next week's stream, I do have my salad fork shirt that I purchased, and I just needed to get it washed, and it wasn't ready for tonight, so we'll be wearing that next week when we continue. Few other things came in this week. Chris, I did get the, I was going to say the build plate, wasn't a build plate, the heater today for Chewy's build. So that did come in today. And then the other thing that came in was the long-awaited 10th anniversary box from Fetus. So we got some Fetus stickers. Always cool to have stickers, right? This was the thing that they were doing on Twitter where you printed off their little guy here and you get things. So I got stickers and I got a shirt. Apparently it's it's the Rapido 2 shirt in white. And I just realized that there comes complete with a hole. So I do have a hole in the shirt. So I don't know what hit it, but that's no big deal. It's in the back. We can fix that. But yeah, it does have the Rapido schematic on it for the exploded view. So that's kind of cool. Another shirt that we can add to the t-shirt collection. And then we got some of the AE worthy ABS glass filled. So this is 10% glass fiber reinforced ABS. It is black. And I was going to show it to you, but apparently it's well sealed. So we'll have to do this on show sometime. Nozzle temp 250 to 270 C, bed temp 100 to 110, 30 to 90 millimeters a second sprint speed, 0 to 20% fan, and of course a nozzle that can handle abrasives. We'll add that. We've got several printer builds coming up. We can use this in one of those. Yeah. So cool. Now we got a few of those things out of the way. How's everybody else doing today? It was a 1 kilo roll. So it was a full kilogram spool, Kit Skyfire. So that'll be nice because, like I said, I can use that. I was planning for the black box of using the Praline, and this is their carbon fiber PC. Black, of course, because, well, it's a black box, so we're going to do black. But yeah, that's their carbon fiber PC. I'm not going to open this up because as it is, when I open it up, it's going to go straight into a filament dryer for a little bit before I use it. But I got 2 rolls of the carbon fiber PC. Once again, it prints at 250 to 260 C, 80 to 110 on the bed. And of course, I'll have an obsidian nozzle in it when I run it. Hey, Timor, welcome on in. So yeah, the Praline was, carbon fiber PC was planned for the Black box build. We'll use the Fadis carbon fiber ABS, or excuse me, glass filled ABS or something. Hey, Lucas Player, welcome on in. Welcome on in. So you may notice a couple of differences tonight. And the fact that hopefully you notice a couple of differences. So we've got this camera, but we also have that camera. So the camera over here on the left side of the screen is the Logitech C920 that used to be right here. This is my other Brio camera right now. So we'll be working with the Brio cameras as the primary and the secondary view. Excuse me. And then the 922 we'll be able to bring over here and sit on the desk if we're doing something straight up where we want a little bit closer in. So trying to work with some stuff. I still want to get a ceiling camera mounted. One of these days I will get there. And it'll probably be one of these that'll go up there. But yeah, stay in your lane, KB3D. Make it home safe. So I got another batch of stickers. So originally when I ordered my stickers and they got delivered to somebody else, and I just chalked them off as lost, and I ordered another set. So I've got plenty of those stickers that came in. I still haven't received the shirt or the hat that I ordered. We'll see. Maybe they're coming, maybe they're not. I know the hat, because the shirt is silkscreen, so we should be good with this design here. So this should work fine for silk screening, right? They were having a lot of issues with the color transitions and the embroidery. So I think I'm just going to have to take it down to straight, like just make it red and get the outline and make it red and do that for the hat. So, yep. So where were we? When we left off, we had run our belts. They're very loose because they're just sitting in there right now. And we were starting to build our boop. And in order to build boop, we need to, we were needing to work with the tap. So what we did was we had all the printed parts for boop, except for the nut holders, or not the nut holders, the magnet holders, these things. Well, I printed those out, and I was checking the tolerance and fit of the magnets, and yeah, the magnets go in, they fit well. And then I was just feeling froggy today between meetings and training meetings, so I went ahead and put in the heat sets on these. They have a heat set on one side and the magnet, and it will go in your holder here, and that's where we're going to kind of get started. Now, I did notice that some of the screw sizes are a little different, and that's why we need to have CAD up to look at it. And I did go ahead and put Fusion 360 up here. So I do have the Fusion model, so I can check and see, okay, what size screws do we have, and so on and so forth. So that's M3x6 for the belt clamps and stuff. So you may see me doing some stuff off screen. That's just me clicking around trying to figure out what the bolt size, because I know some of them will be different, right? And one thing that I don't necessarily see called out in the tap, but I do see called out in the CAD, is there are these two channels on either side. These two channels take an M3x40. So this just sits down there, and we're going to screw this all the way in, and it's going to provide some additional rigidity here. So we need to start off by doing that before we get too far, and I just simply forget. But yeah, how's everybody doing today? The 3D printer workshop is almost back together. Well, Timur, that all depends. Like, if it turns out being that it's easier to work in the workshop and easier to find things, then I would say it was worth the time and effort. Is this going in? Okay, yeah, it is. It's just a very, very long screw. Well, and I think that's what I'm looking at is the manual for tap 8, but I don't, or maybe when I originally did my tap, it was before the RC came out. So that might be it. But yeah, this just adds a little bit more rigidity to the printed part. And from working with the optical sensors on the Prusa machines for their filament runout sensor, if for whatever reason your printed part here, because this is not black, right? So if for some reason we start getting flaky or not triggering, one of the first things I would do is take a Sharpie and blacken this little flag tip up here, because this is what's triggering the sensor. It could be, for whatever reason, maybe it's the sparkle fleck in here or whatever, but if you have any issues, and I'm not saying I will, just take a Sharpie and color this in. And that has cleared any false positives or false triggers I've had on my Prusas. So, and then I also got in some generic what is it, 7x7 drag chain for the build. And I've got a couple of other things printed out that we'll get into a little bit later, namely some Wago mounts that will mount on either side of the long bar underneath here, and some mounts to basically put some underbed fans. And the way this will work is it'll be mounted with the blower facing back and the inlet facing down. So that way it can suck in the cold air at the bottom and blow it across the bottom of the bed and basically create a circulating path underneath here to help warm your chamber up a little bit faster. That was a suggestion by Delmar Franks the other day. So we'll add those in, and that'll allow me to run Wagos underneath the bed here as well for all the bed wires. So we'll have a little bit easier if I ever have to take off the bed to do some maintenance. But what I need to do is grab my M3 nuts. Where are my M3 nuts? Button head cap screws. There we go. Or actually, I know what I was doing is I was looking for my tap kit because all of my, that's what I needed. Washers. Okay, I don't have any more. So let me see. Just grab two here. So we do need to add a nut on either side here, and this is for the belt clamps. And if they're tight fit, just try and get them lined up, and then use a small screw and pull them through from the front side. This will allow us to get our belts on. And once we get our belts on, then we'll add the front covers to our tensioners, and we'll be able to tension our gantry belts. And then continue with the build. Okay, so we need to add in our magnet pieces. And once again, you're going to need to add a heat set insert on the side. Hey, Britt, welcome on in. Hey, Zombie, how's it going? Yep, salad again for supper with a side dessert of Dunkin' Donuts. And on here, there's little marks. So this one has 2, and the other one has a single tick mark on it. And that's how you know which side they go in. So the one with the 2 will go on the left side, and the side that has the heat set insert goes towards the center into the rail there. So you'll put that in, and then we're going to need a M3 by 10 button head cap screw and a washer. And we're just going to go in, and it's basically going through the whole part and then locking into that heat set insert. And you want to make sure that it's pushed all the way down and that you tighten it in and lock it in. Okay? Because what's going to happen is once we get these in place, then we will loosen these screws, and it will attach to, it'll do the magnet thing. And then we'll have our set location, and we'll get into that, and you'll see what I mean in a little bit. So we got both of those tightened down. Now this will get, we went ahead and I've already mounted the rail. We did that on the last stream, and we're going to connect this to our center rail with M3 by 6 button head cap screws. Now, what I'm going to say before you connect it is at least run one side through your channels here for the belts to make sure that you've got a nice good path and can get your belts in there. And if not, which they may be fairly tight, you're going to have to work on them some. Just make sure that you get the top in the top and the bottom in the bottom. And all I'm doing here is just lightly going around the edge of the belt path. and making sure to get off any elephant's foot that's present, because this part prints like this flat on the bed. And with using a textured bed, sometimes you can get some elephant's foot because you need to get a little bit of extra squeeze or squish. So you just need to very lightly try and clean off any elephant's foot that's there to make sure you've got the full size of the belt path available. Might need to take a small screwdriver to try and help push it through. Once you get like one or two teeth, then you'll be able to pull it from the front pretty easily. It's just getting the first couple of teeth through there so you can get hold of it. And this is another reason why you cut your belts kind of long for when you're doing this to start with, because it gives you, if you do tear up a tooth or something, it's not going to be a critical loss. There we go. Get a couple of teeth pulled through. And let's see if we can't try out our new camera and get you guys up here. So that was the bottom one, top one. And just like that, we start to get it pulled through. We're just going to try and pull the same number of teeth through on each side. And that'll give us our starter on the one side. And then on the other side, we can feed them through as well. If you're like me, you'll be stubborn and keep trying to make it work rather than pull it out and add a little bit more, work it a little bit with the knife to ease the edge a little bit more. Okay. We got that started a little bit. I should be able to get a fingernail on there now and pull that through some. Don't pull a lot because we need all the slack we can to keep getting these put in there. Get it started, then push it through with the small flat screwdriver. Hey, Royal Nomi. Hey, Mod Light. Welcome in. Welcome in. Mod Light, Chris is driving home, so if you would be so kind as to do some shout outs for me, I would appreciate it, sir. You could get Miss Royal Nomi a shout out, and a Zombie Hedgehog, and a Westery One, and a Creatix Brit. You know, the usual cast of people. Of course, let's not forget Mr. KB3D Chris. How's it going, Westery? Sister from another mister who likes to stream over the top of me. That's okay. I'll give it to you. Don't know if I can get enough of it with this. Nope, that's not going to work yet. So we just go back to the screwdriver and keep trying to stab ourselves. I mean, push our belt through little by little. It's always good to try not to stab yourself when doing this. I hear it hurts. Hey, there we go. All right, there we go. So we got a couple pulled through. Now what I want to really focus on is making sure that the two right here on the left side have the same number of teeth exposed. Because we're going to fold those over and we're going to use an M3x6 screw to capture our belt clip here. Something like that. So we need an M3x6 button head cap screw. Hey, Nomi, thank you for all the coffee emotes. You know me so well. Coffee. That in there. That screw started. Make sure that you've got your belts straight. Try and keep your clamp straight as well. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull our spare belt through. And as we're pulling the spare belt through, of which we're going to have a bunch, we want to ensure that as we're tightening our belts, that they stay on the rollers, that they're not jumping off the rollers, and that they're not, especially in the back, jumping off the rollers or getting stuck. And I'll turn this around a little bit slowly so you can see what I mean. So we want to make sure as we're going around that our belts stay within our pulleys. All right, let me just grab this. We'll make it bigger. So we want to make sure that our belts are riding in our pulleys and not up on the flanges, but are in there. Now these we can't, the ones in here we can't really tell. We just gotta hope and pray that everything looks like it's lined up and we're good. The biggest ones are in the back here, and making sure that you're riding in your pulleys as well as your drive pulleys. So you need to make sure on both sides that you're in your idlers as well as wrapped around. Sorry, I'm having an issue. And wrapped around your drive pulley. Okay. And we've got these, they're not fully tight, they're a little bit tight, but we're close enough now where we should be able to get this lined up and get it initially secured to our plate back there. And we're going to use some M3x6s again, but I am going to take a quick look at the bomb to see if there is a washer. Not there. Let me hide. No, I need that one. Belt clamp. Remove. Hide that. Hide that. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the washers are only on the back side there. Okay. Yeah, BC_2_3D. So these, once again, are M3x6 button head cap screws. We'll make sure we can get one started. So we're running into an issue here. Let's see if you can tell what my issue is. My holes don't line up. Which means I need a different style carriage here than what I've got. What does boop require? MGN 9/8. And apparently that's a 9C. Okay, well, I guess we'll be building our tool head. We won't continue much more with the belts at this point because what I'll be able to do is loosen these belts back up here so I can get access, lay it on its back. I'm going to have to take the rail off, swap carriage from a 9C to a 9H, which means I'm going to have to get my hands on a 9H carriage between now and Tuesday so that I can get it on here. Damn. Sorry. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd have to go with the original mounting system and clicky, which I really don't want to do clicky. I really want to do boop. Okay. What do you think? Disregard boop for now or order a new carriage and I can swap the carriage on the rail over the weekend because I'm sure I can get a part here pretty darn quick. This won't be a DFH carriage, but I can get a 9H carriage here quickly. Can't believe I didn't notice that earlier. The other thing that I did notice though as well, and you'll see me will kind of deviate from the instructions a tiny bit, and that's because just kind of the new order of operations. So when we build our hot end or our tool head, there'll be two screws that come in from the front into this truck and one that comes into the back. Well, you'll notice when we put our optical piece in, which it calls for us to have done already, we block that whole access in the top. We may be able to get in there with a ball end, but I'd much rather hold off, slide this in after the fact, and get it added on there. So that's something that we'll do as we go through the build process. And speaking of which, if we're kind of at a hold again, we've got our belts done up. We can't tension them just yet. like I said, unless we switch over completely and just go with the stock. But I really don't want to go with clicky. I really like the simplicity of Boop rather than setting up a clicky. So I will go ahead and order a carriage so that we can swap that out. Let me double, triple, quadruple check that I don't have one. Yep, no, those are 12s. Well, I had a spare rail around here, but if I do, it is most likely another 9C. Not even a 9, that's a 7C. Okay. So I will order a, hey, Stephen Poole, how you doing? Hey, Otter's Danger Den. So we'll say I'm pulling an errand, not in the fact that I'm, not so much in the fact that I didn't have parts printed, but in the fact that I didn't put these two up to one another to realize that this was the wrong size carriage. So I need a MGN 9H carriage to mount this, and this is a C carriage on here. So I need to get an MGN 9H carriage for this rail. I will loosen up these belts and take the rail off, swap out the carriage, remount the rail, and then go on. Yeah, a lot of carriages are matched to the rail. I'll go ahead and get a whole new rail. See if Chris has one on hand. You know. So we're taking off tomorrow morning. We're gonna get up, have breakfast. We're gonna take off tomorrow morning to drive to Maryland. Who knows? There might be a pit stop in Fairfax, Virginia, home of Micro Center. Not home of, but there is a Micro Center there. And we'll check that out. But if I can get it on order now, remember that I've got a good friend by the name of Evil Diesel that lives 5 minutes away, and I'm going to make sure that he's got a key to the house because I've got several packages arriving already. Oh, sorry, there was an ad break. So what I'm going to do, now that I've got a little bit of tension on it, it's not fully tensioned, but a little bit, I am going to go ahead and put these on anyhow. So let me get that scooched out of the way. So we're going to put these on, and these require M3 by 35 bolts. And we're just going to get these lined up and installed. And I don't want to apply any extra tension on the belts yet. I'm just going to run them in there and get them initially installed. And we'll use these to further tension later once we get the rail and truck swapped out. I do need to measure that rail again and figure out what size it is. I guess it would help if I came in here. Nope, not that one. Not that one. That one's tap. We needed to look at the idlers again. Oh. Back to the docks. Where were we at? Where's my notes on the idlers? No, it wasn't there. Sorry, gang. I think I need to come all the way back to the beginning. Oop, compatibility. Maybe not. What I'm trying to do is find the section on the front idlers where it talks about the pen mod, which I'm not finding right off the bat here. Was it the Rama Llama pen mod? I'm trying to see if I need to put washers underneath this is what I'm looking at real fast. In 3x30s and shims. So it is calling for washers underneath here. Let's get those added. But yeah, we're going to take off and drive up there tomorrow, and we'll be out there. As it stands, we'll be out there Friday night. We'll be there for Saturday, and we will most likely come back on Sunday. Hey, Ramon, how's it going? Not sure if KB3D's home yet. He was driving home, Ramon, so he may not respond too quickly. And that's actually pulling that tight, and it's not fully in there yet. So obviously these are different size, so I'm going to have to figure out the right length. Probably would have been a good idea to check out ahead of time, rather than just look at the manual and say, yeah, it should be this. Oh yeah, definitely. We could probably drop these down to 20s. Well, you should do nicely. Probably even do 18s. Give myself a little bit of extra breathing room. And yes, I am substituting in with some of my own hardware. My tend to do that, especially when I'm dealing with mods. So Woody, how's everything going? I was watching Aaron's stream last night, and I was realizing that he was doing a little bit of unbuilding as well, as we all do sometimes. Once again, not trying to cinch these up, just trying to get them seated. We can put the little cover on it. And this one is just basically upside down from the other one. All righty. That's at least a couple of other things done. So when we go to take this off, it's not going to go anywhere. It shouldn't matter. I am going to set this down onto the ground to get it out of the way for now. And we are going to start building our tool head. It has a very nice tight fit on things. And come back over here, put it back at the right magnification. And go back to the docks. So it will talk about doing the belts, and then from the belts going into clicky probe. Once again, I don't want to do clicky. It's a lot more macros. It's a lot more configuration, a little more complexity, stuff that could go wrong. Correct. I'm not streaming Saturday Mod Light, but this stream is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if I order that piece today, it should be here by Tuesday for us to be able to do the stream. Yeah, on the front, underneath. So I am using a standard socket head, but on some of those things where you're using it for tension, you want to add a screw underneath the socket head screw as well, because it adds a little bit more diameter to spread the force out and keep the screw itself from digging in and creeping into the printed part. So once again, we're not going to do clicky because we want to do boop. I just need to get a new rail and an H carriage. So it does say mini afterburner here. We're going to click on that, and I love that it says Mini Afterburner, go here, or MiniStealthburner, go here. No, you'll use the Salad Fork Stealth Burner body from here. Oh, still need to clean that up, but it does have the Stealth Burner, but I did it with mouse ears, and apparently mouse ears get in there as well, so I got to clear those out. We'll do that real fast while we're chatting. But all additional parts will come from the V0 repo. Yep. Do not make me have to reprint this. Yeah, Orca Slicer was weird. I found this out late in the game that when I was printing, it was like, oh, you want to use mouse ears? I was like, sure, let me do mouse ears. That'll help. And it not only put mouse ears on the external corners, which I was expecting it to do, it put mouse ears on the, anything underneath. So like all the logos. So I basically had to go through and reprint some parts, and hell, I might have to go through and reprint this so I don't gouge it up. We'll figure it out. I will figure that one out. But V0 docs. Currently, the link to PDF file. All right, thanks for the lurk, Ramon. Oh, good gracious. It's downloading like the entire manual. Do I have that already downloaded? Oh, we're going to play this again. I do. It's not here, so almost done though. Sorry, folks. Oh, stop it. And I've really got to figure out what is causing things to take control of my mouse. Give me a second here so I don't lose my mind. But something. I don't know why it keeps like taking control of my mouse. And all right, folks, we went and did this before. I haven't hit anything on my keyboard, right? Like I haven't been over here typing, so I don't know why or what has caused my keyboard or my mouse to go wonky again. Hell. Okay, my entire browser just seemed like it's dorked up. Sorry about this, folks. So I'm really not sure what is going on and why it is doing this. Um, okay. Once again, folks, please bear with me. I do not know why my mouse is like doing the things that it is doing. Anybody can do a quick Google to figure out what I would need to do in order to get my mouse to stop acting as a zoom. That would be fabulous. And if not, it's going to get interesting because it's not even letting me use my Like my entire keyboard just remapped. At a loss here. Give me a second. I'm going to maybe just delete and let it refine my mouse. We may have to I have no idea what the hell's going on. Um, 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 um. Roll's not working at all. Keyboard's on. I'm Yeah, exactly, DaVinci. So I don't know. I may wind up having to reprint this down the road. We'll see. I'm not going to worry too much about it at the moment. But the big issue I'm having is I can't even run around in my browser at the moment. I have no keyboard. Completely lost everything. What the hell is going on? Lost that too. Ay, 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 ay. It's not my day, apparently. We're gonna work on fixing stream stuff rather than fixing printer stuff. As I have no idea why I have just lost like all of my input devices. Okay, so that one's working now. That seems to be working now. Does this work now? I think the cable was loose to my Stream Deck, which may have been causing it to miss other things. I don't know. But that was a major pain in the butt. So let's see if we can do a little bit without having issues. So we're going to work with some heat set inserts. We need to put 3 heat set inserts here, 1 here. We're not going to use the printed parts because I have another solution. We'll get our stealth press out and set it back up because I had to do a little bit of soldering earlier. That lined up. And this is why I really need a second TS100 so I can leave one in here and then have the other one for soldering. Well, that's what I thought it was, the control, but I kept trying the control and it wasn't changing anything. And it wound up the only thing that I changed that was different was the Stream Deck connection was just ever so slightly off, which means it was fighting on a what we call it, a HID, human interface device. Ooh, Britt, you're building your stealth press tonight, right? If I remember right, she is going to be printing her stealth press, or not printing it, she's already printed it, but assembling her stealth press tonight. This is so nice. So we got the top 2 done. Now we need to get the one down here in the sides. So this is going to kind of be the pain in the butt. Okay, so we got all 3 of those done. We're going to need one more. And that's going to be in the end of our shuttle piece here. And there's no real easy way to make this work, so we're going to work real hard not to burn the heck out of ourselves right here. This is going to be one of the few times we're actually doing it by hand. Might be easier and better. Because it's just an awkward little piece, but we got that done. Once again, we're not going to do these two tubes. Every time I try and do these, I will melt the end or the heat sets in, and then as I'm tightening the screws down, it will shear right at the layer line. And I've just given up and bought some knurled aluminum standoffs. On our other piece here, we're going to need one at the top and one on each of the sides here, so another couple. And a couple in from the bottom. This is probably the one we're actually using this camera and making it bigger. It proved beneficial. You should be able to see what I'm doing. Color washed out and everything. So trying to get this lined up right there in the hole can be tricky. If you want to, you can start and just get your heat set there and get your iron started into it and then drag it over into the corner and let it drop down. If you're having a hard time getting it over here in the corner and started because it's going to be so close to the wall, and you really want to make sure that you're not melting the wall as you start to melt this down in there. And then slow constant pressure. We got those three there. Now we need to do the two at the bottom. Whoops. And you might need to work on that to make sure it gets nice and flush because there's this is rounded and it's sloped. So trying to get that fully flat and flush may be a little bit of a pain in the tuchus. We'll do just like that. And we need to put a M2x6 flathead screw. Do I have an M2x6 flathead screw? An M2x6 button head cap screw. An M2x6 cap head cap screw, otherwise known as the anti-squish thingy? Oofta. And that's going to require one of my ball end drivers because this thing is super duper tiny, small. Yes, this requires the 1.27 millimeter head, and it goes right in that hole. Whoops, right there, right in that hole there. So I'm going to be super awkward to try and get started too, using a ball end driver to do this. Go slow. I'm just making it flat and flush to the top of the printed part. Okay. All right, Da Vinci. Hey, Mad Cat, how's it going? We are having a blast. Yeah, we've already found out that I need to order a different carriage, which means I also probably need to get a completely different rail and carriage because the carriage on the print or on the x-axis for the printer is an MGN9C and Boop requires an MGN9H. So we're going to need a new one of those. We're going to just take these boot parts and just set them off for a second. This will be the cable for the sensor, and this will be the end stop for the x-axis. Okay, now we need to grab our lube. Where's Pez Liz when we need her? And I'm not going to fully glove up for this. But what we're going to need is our gears. Now I'm using the RNC DDB direct drive from Triangle Labs. I believe it was TH3. I think it's the guy's company. Had a lot of these on sale, and I was like, sure, why not? So you won't use that gear. I've got like 500 of them. And what I'm going for is my needle bearing. So we're going to need our needle bearings and our idlers. Now on your idlers, as we talked about before, one's going to have a set screw, the other won't. This is your idler gear. So this is one that we want to use. You're going to put your needle bearings down in there, one on top of the other, using your finger at the bottom to hold them in so they don't drop out. You're going to squirt some of your EP2 in there. And make sure that it stays in there. You need the smaller of the, you got 3 different pins here. You need the smallest one because that's the one that fits your idler, right? So you're going to take the smallest one, push it right down into that grease and push it. You'll see that bearing start to come up. That's because the grease is getting pushed in. Use one finger, push that bearing down, and continue to push that rod in. Go slow. You'll feel and see the grease come out the ends there. And that's what you're looking for. That has just pressed all of that grease into the gears. And then what's ever left, you can clean up real fast. So wipe the tip of your syringe. Put the little cap back on. And you do want to not drop that on the floor. But you do want to try and get the excess off. If you get a little bit of grease on the big gear side, that's not bad. If you get grease on the teeth here for the filament, that's going to cause you to slip. So you just want to make sure, especially at this end, that you're very careful about wiping the excess grease off and not getting it on your filament teeth. And like I said, there's a little bit of grease in that gear right there. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. I've already popped the piece out of here. So you can see that it's got the contours of your tooth pulley. So just line that up and push it in. You should hear it snap on both ends. Go ahead and turn it around. Make sure it turns with no issue. That aside. Okay, so now we've got our idler assembled, and we need to put in, this is just adding for strength, an M2 by 10 self-tapping screw here. And I hate the self-tapping screws that came in this kit because they are a Phillips head. And I hate them with a passion. So we'll use the ones here that have a hex head to them. And so once again, we're going, there's the lip, there's the bottom where we just put this in. So we're going to come in to this side here. Just counterbore that. Oh, hey, Britt. Yeah, so this view right here is from the C922. Let me, which I now have sitting over here onto the bench. But this is the Sparta 3D. No, let me rephrase that. This is the Polymaker Galaxy Purple. I just know the color is better on the Brio camera over here. Okay, so we've got that. We checked the orientation. Really, it only goes in one way. Now we need to check and make sure that we've only got 3 millimeters between here and here. And that looks like there's going to be more. One easy way to tell is I've got a sanding jig here. If I put this in there and push it all the way in there, it doesn't come through, so that should be good. Let me just double check it. Eyeballing it said that we weren't good, but we're right at 3 millimeters, so we are good actually. It just didn't look like it when I was first looking at it, but we're good. We want to check the bearing fitment, so we're going to take our bearing and slip it onto the front. Make sure it goes on and onto the back, and make sure that it goes on. That went on. We're good there. Now we're going to take our back plate and put a bearing here and a hex nut down here. So one of the bearings. Screaming pretty tight fit to me. I don't want to push it. These are MR85s, which means that's an 8 millimeter outer diameter. So this does have a sloped or a chamfered edge, so it's not going to get all the way down there, but it will clean up right at the top edge. And make sure that there are no burrs at the top edge, which will at least let me get it in there, and then I can press it down in the rest of the way. Okay. Just going to do the same thing and check the front bearing out. Because that'll be the next step, is get our M3 hex nut there. And it says super glue that hex nut in. So we will grab our super glue, and we need to be very careful that we only get the super glue on the nut and not anywhere near that bearing. Probably should have done the super glue on the nut first, but I'm going to aim for the far side away from the bearing. Just add a little bit of super glue there. Wipe the excess off. Let it sit there for a few seconds. Now the next step is to add the other bearing down here in this slot here, or this slot, this hole here. Now one of the ways I've found to do this is to get it down in there, use a larger piece and peel it out, of course. And go across all the faces and just try and set it down in there. And that's been the easiest way for me to get it in there. Even though that looks and feels like it's not fully down in there either. Ah, piece of swarf down in there that's keeping it from seating all the way. So, now we're going to take our shuttle and we're just going to slide it right in there like that. We'll take our idler or guidler and we're going to set it down with its hole right over the lower heat set. Push it in place. We're going to take the latch and make sure we put it in the right direction. Oops. There we go. Okay, so we've got our shuttle. I think I'm getting you guys in here and it's not. There we go. So we take our shuttle, flip it in. It's almost like doing a jigsaw puzzle. We take our idler, right, larger gear towards the front frame and set it in there. We're going to take our latch and we're looking for this earpiece, right? And it's going to fit right down in there. Okay. Then we'll take the mid body, which is this piece, and notice that the flat side is going to go down here, and there's keys in it right here and right here that will line up with the keyed spots here. Okay, and now we're going to take 3 M3 by 25s. For the button head cap screws. I have super lube, but I don't want to use like an oil like this. And my super lube is going to be like what I used to use for all of my LM8 UUs. We're using button head cap screws, by the way. And we're going 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom. Okay. This one's becoming the hinge pin for our idler. This one is the hinge pin for our latch up here. That's why you might see me try and wiggle it a bit to get it to line up right. None of these do we want to crank down to hide. You know, we're not trying to torque these down. We're just trying to use them to hold the assembly together. Because we still need everything to work. There we go. So once again, let's get them down to where they're nice and tight. Not tight, but just snug. Snug as a bug in a rug. All right, so I'm just making sure that things still move and the latch tight. They can still move. And this latch is kind of, you know, it's tight. It will work loose a little bit over time. But that little ear is feeding down to the shuttle. So when this opens up, it by definition forces this out some. And it's not a whole lot of travel, as you can see there. Okay. So we got that in there. Now we're going to take 2 M3 by 10s and come up through the sides here. So M3 by 10, once again, button heads. And we may need to use our ball head screws to get to these. There we go. Mhm. So that's done now. Next step, we'll be using our main gear. We're going to take the gear that has the set screw in it. We're going to pull that set screw out and put some Loctite on it. You're still at work? I won't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody. And you're going to see that it goes on with the filament teeth towards the big palm gear and the meshed gears towards the end. And all we're going to do is get it to where it's within that range of the flat. And we're going to tighten it down, but not all the way. I want it to be able to move some. We will tighten this down fully as soon as we're done. So it's just captive now, right? So that's fine. It's not going to twist completely out and off the flat. And it does have a little bit of wiggle room. So now that we've got that in there, we've checked the orientation. We're going to take this and just feed it right down in here. You just saw me, I moved that idler out of the way so that I don't have an issue meshing any of the teeth as I put this down in there. Okay. Now I can close my guidler, and as I move that guidler just synced in with the gears and meshed down. Next, we're going to take our back plate. Made sure our nut was there. Made sure we don't have an issue with our bearing. And we're going to put this in place. And once again, it's got a couple of little keyed divots in it that will key with the top plate here. Just line those up. Make sure that rear bearing's lined up. Press everything together. And we're going to use M3x6s and an M3x10. So, a couple of M3x6s. Hey, Tookie, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I've just always used the, well, I was always using the Super Lube, but then once I found the syringes with the Mobilux EP2, I just always started using that. And like normal, I'm not tightening these all down. I'm just making sure that they're all lining up first. And then once I know that they're all lined up and in there, then I'll tighten them down. I'm just making sure that everything's moving freely for the moment. and we're looking at it from the bottom. We want to make sure that there is spacing between the housings. And we do have some spacing. I am not getting any binding. I am able to move that. And see a little bit of light that's getting through there. So we're good. Uh-oh, a filament test. We're going to line the drive gear. We're going to pop the top, which will let the guidler fall back some. And we need some filament. What do we do with some filament? There's some filament. Look, it's like the end of a roll or something. We're going to take the filament, push it through there, and we're going to use that. Lighting's going to suck. We're going to use this filament to line up the gears, or at least the one drive gear. We need to put it in a position that we can get to the screw, which is a pain in the butt. And then we'll lock that set screw in place. With that locked in, we've got good movement. And when I push this, you'll see the palm gear move. That means that we're good and nice and aligned. And then we're going to add our spring tensioner. Well, for this, we want to make sure that we have the spring as well as the plastic washer. Okay. Really need that plastic washer there, because I just dropped the plastic washer into the extruder. So go ahead and latch the drive gear and then get your spring and washer in there and started. Too much tension is going to result in print issues, but you want to make sure that you're getting enough. And here's what we're looking for. You want to make sure that that shuttle is fully locked and your arm is vertical. Your arm or your knob is vertical. If it's at an angle, then your shuttle's not in there right, and you're not going to be clamped down right on your filament. You do have your little anti-squish thingamajiggy that you can screw in or screw out. It was that little M2 by 6 countersunk screw that we put in there. And you should be seeing light teeth marks when you close the latch. Put a piece of filament in there and then pull it out. You should be seeing and feeling light tooth marks, and you might have to look at the light, but you will see ever so slightly the little teeth marks, and I don't know if I will be able to get them to show up on the screen. Probably not. Sort of see it right there by my finger. But there are Little light teeth marks here. I could probably go a little bit more tension, but I am getting some light teeth marks on here. And we're good. So now we need to start adding our fans. And did this come with fans? This did not come with fans. And I need, these are 3010 blowers. Let me go see if I've got my 3010 blowers over here. And apparently I do not have 3010 blower fans. So one last place. See what we got fan wise. .3010 blower, and is this a blower or? No, Axial. I do have 2 blower fans that I can use. Hey, Pezlis, thank you for the raid. Thank you for the raid. We are digging for fans, and I think I just found the fans that I need. It's been one of those days already with the stream where we've had to search for a few things and find out that the biggest issue is we wanted to go with Boop, and the default carriage for our hot end uses an MGN9C carriage, and Boop requires an MGN912. So I'm going to have to do some acquisition between now and next stream. But give me a second here, folks, and I'm going to flip over to this stream or this screen and say, hey, welcome on in, everybody. Welcome into the Dragon's Den. Let me scroll up here and kind of see who all just came in and who all has been chatting. We got the raid from Pezliz. We got K2 Kevin. Welcome on in, K2 Kevin. The Unstable One. Welcome in. Welcome in. Dandelion, I've seen you around. Pink, welcome in. Scared you? Maybe, sort of. Not scared me, startled me. Memetics, welcome in. Welcome in. Thunder Keys, yes. So this is not a Dunkin' cup, but this does have Dunkin' coffee in it, and the Dunkin' Donuts right over there waiting for the stream to end. Okay, what else we got? Ramon, Vinci. I am not your father. Thank you for the cheers. Thank you for the bits, Kevin and Pez Liz. Welcome, welcome. Ace 3D Prints, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. So I'm seeing a couple of new faces here. Is concentrating a little hard? Well, you know, I'm just trying to get caught up on chat since I just got rated with 63 people. So because I'm seeing some new faces, welcome on in, everybody, to the Dragon's Den. My name is Digital Dragon, otherwise known as Luke. I am a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. You say, well, what does that entail? Well, I do everything from, whoops, there we go, printer builds, or assembly, I should say, like the Flying Bear Reborn 2, to mods, which we've done to the Flying Bear, to full machine builds, such as the Boron Trident and the 2.4s behind me. And I even do some prototyping, such as working on the closed beta for the Mercury 0G. This is a full frame build and enclosure versus an Ender 5 mod. I've also taken part in the Trad Rack. I obviously do some 3D printing here and there. And we're in the process of building a salad fork. So, yes, I'm going to look at chat and see who's coming in. Yep. Was that Pro Streamer? Yeah. So thank you for the raid, Pez Liz. I would ask somebody to give you a shout out, but I'm not sure if Mod Light's still here. Mod Light, if you're here, can you give me some shout outs, please? For a Pez Liz and a K2 Kevin and anybody else who might be in there. And we're in an ad break. Thank you for the follow, Rubik's Bulk. Do a couple of shout outs while we're waiting. I saw Pez Liz. I saw K2 Kevin. I believe I saw Pink. Is Pink, is it Pink 3D? Yeah, there we go. I did see the raid, Pez Liz. I did see the raid with 63 people, I believe. So thank you for raiding in. That is awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, we are in the process of working on our salad fork, which is